Please, please. But yeah, last night was great. I do think the conversation that we had really it really confirmed to me the direction of sports media though. It really did tell me where the industry is heading in. And I wouldn't say I am scared for the industry at all from my perspective, but it's just the reality of the situation. Athletes are taking over sports media. You would think that with social media being more prevalent, that newer faces, people who did not have access to a journalism degree that can build a platform on YouTube would be the future of this shit. No, me and Omar are not beefing. Jesus Christ. You would think that because of also examples out there. Myself, Kenny, Lowe, Rusty, all of us are fans of the game that build platforms through social media. And I would argue that these platforms just would not exist if social media did not exist. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I would have took a journalism degree at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just would have went to computer science and just stayed in my lane. I would have, maybe if Discord was a thing, I would have just talked ball in Discords and things of that nature. But, the sample sizes are there, so you would think moving forward it would just go up like this in a linear fashion. But no. I think what has happened is the barrier to entry has allowed for people like me to create a platform and a living off of this shit. But the barrier to entry has also been lowered for athletes. You can get a Blue Yeti right now. You can, get a C920 for $60 and make content. And just from a market perspective, because the viewer is always the end customer when it comes to content creation. Specifically in the area we're talking about, which is NBA basketball conversations, former NBA players will always have the edge over the fan. That's just the reality of the situation. Because of the fact that depending on how good you are, you can also be as entertaining as the fan. Depending on how knowledgeable you are, you can also keep up with the analytical conversations of the NBA fan. But on top of that, there's just certain things that you can provide from an entertainment and a concept perspective that a regular fan they would have to climb and claw tooth and nail for. Like last night, all those stories Roy Hibbert talked about Kobe. I'm like, where is that gonna come from me? That's a life experience that he went through. You know what I'm like? I ain't got no stories about Kobe. Those stories about me and Quincy Acey got into a scuffle 10 years ago. Those stories I can't speak to. I can only see what I see on the internet. Those stories about the times in Georgetown, the stories about his last couple of years in the league, this, that, and the third. Big Easy, he said, yeah, I met Kanye, and I was trying to get Kanye into the Kobe locker room, but Kobe said, like, how is that gonna come from me? It just isn't. It just isn't. There's just a level of nuance. There's just a level of experience that NBA players can provide that the regular folks like me just cannot. You know what I'm saying? So moving forward with how accessible technology is going to be, with how people can hire social media experts to run the back end of things, now that there's a blueprint, this isn't 2010 YouTube anymore. This isn't 2015 Twitch anymore, where I feel like everyone is just throwing darts at the wall, and if shit sticks. No, there's a blueprint now. Like what Roy said last night, there's divisions. There's divisions being set up in sports agencies just for podcasting, just for media purposes. This is the trajectory of sports media. I think athletes becoming media personalities is the name of the game. It's the name of the. I swear to God, like I was on my YouTube homepage yesterday. And it just really dawned to me like how many sports athlete platforms are really out there compared to even just 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, Shannon is trying to form a fucking super team. Like, he has Gilbert Arenas on the show with Ocho now. You know? Who else? Roy's in that conversation. Trey Young got a podcast. Andre Iguodala and Evan Turner shit is starting to turn up a little bit. I remember watching their podcast just 7 months ago and it wasn't really hitting like that. There's so many athlete podcasts that are coming up. KG and Paul Pierce, I think they're genuinely getting traction now. All the Smoke is still All the Smoke. You know? Let me go on my homepage right now. JJ Redick is still in that game. Obviously Gilbert Arenas is in that game. Let's see. Cam and Mace I wouldn't count just in this conversation. But let's just scroll through my homepage and see how many athlete podcasts are on it. Let's see. Actually, not a lot right now, but I sort of got Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague is one of them. Let's see. Who is that? All right. I'm bugging out. Jeff Teague is one of them. And I think, you know what? You know what's crazy? This thing that I'm talking about, y'all, I don't even think is exclusive to just sports media. Pat Bev is another one. Paul George is another one. Draymond is another one. What I'm talking about, I genuinely do not think is exclusive to sports media. I think this is something that's going to go across other industries as well. I think in hip-hop, it's the same thing. It's the reason why Joe Budden has been on top of the game for so long. You know? There's always going to be the fan. There's always going to be fan podcasts. I'm not saying that lanes like mine and spaces like mine will not exist. It will. But to be at the top of the game, that's just going to belong to the people who were in the game. You know what I'm saying? So in hip-hop, I think the people who have the toughest potential right now is not going to be the NFR podcast. Shout out to the NFR podcast. It's not going to be Anthony Fantano if he had a podcast. It's going to be Lil Yachty if he does his podcast consistently. Shout out to Af who said it in chat. Lil Yachty's averaging 100K per pod and just started this shit. Yeah, he's like 6 episodes in. It's going to be Lil Yachty. It's going to be Joe Budden as he keeps going. Don't let Drake start a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Don't let Trippie Redd start a podcast. That's going to be the name of the game. That's going to be the name of the game. And that really, again, just opened my eyes as to what the fuck is going to go on in the future. For us, for people like me, I think you have 3 options. 3 options. Number 1, not to say that it's a bad thing, but just be complacent and, you know, dominate your corner of the internet. Are you going to get to the number 5 top 10 complex list? No, I don't think that. I don't think that. But as I've proven, as a lot of people have proven, you can still make a lot of money in this shit being in this lane. Being in this lane for a long period of time. That's number 1. Number 2 is to pivot out of it. I ain't gonna lie. If you're already in it, your second option is to pivot out of it. Do you have something unique about you? What are some experiences in your life that's unique to you that you can make content about so you don't run into this problem? You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of the best and most successful content on the internet right now is talking about other people. But I feel like not that there's a shelf life, but there's a cap to it. There's a cap to it. If all of your content is just reacting to what other people do, there's a cap to it. It might be a high cap still, but there's a cap to it that isn't as high as the original content. Number 3 is to team up with the athlete. Number 3 is to team up with the athlete so you can make a platform where you can build your own platform as well, and you get to take advantage of where the industry is heading in. You know what I'm saying? So I think a perfect example of this And I feel like this is why they were so successful during their run. Unfortunately, because of business, it didn't last as long. But everyday struggle. Everyday struggle combined the dude from the industry who has experience in the industry, Joe Budden, and DJ Academics, a dude who built this platform on YouTube, is an internet guy that came on and made a platform together. And because of the personalities that they are, they were able to build something great and had insane credibility to it. In the sports realm, we're seeing that with Josiah Johnson and Gilbert Arenas. In my opinion, at least. We're seeing that with Josiah Johnson and Gilbert Arenas. We're seeing that with, I don't know his name, but the white dude in Pat Bev. You know what I'm saying? Who else? I don't know his name. Shout out to the white dude in Pat Bev. We're seeing that with Paul George and his friends on the podcast P Show. I think that's the name of the game. And I know chat trying to be nasty. So Roy Hibbert's a new Let's Keep It a Buck member. I'm not saying none of that. I'm not saying none of that. That is a discussion that is not even. It might have popped up in my head. I will say that. It might have popped up in my head. But yeah, I think to be at the top of the game, that's just what you got to do. That's just what you got to do. Now it just depends on where you want to take your career and this, that, and the third, and the logistics behind it, and how you even get those connections. But those are the three options. I think that is where NBA YouTube is heading in. Yeah, and I'm excited. I think it's a new challenge. I'm interested to see where the landscape of the game ends up being in 2024. You know, I think 2024 is going to be a very, very big year for sports media. I am honestly happy that I doubled down on the basketball content with Souls and Sage and my personal streams, because I feel like sports media is one of the more stable niches out there. Because to say that sports media is going to die is kind of crazy. I don't think that's the case. And two, I mean, it's my existing fan base. And three, I kind of see where the vision is, man. I kind of see where the vision is. JJ's white guy. Yeah, that I don't know. I feel like I'm disrespecting these folks. I just don't know their name. But yeah. Shout out to Roy Hibbert again for coming on to the podcast. That was big time, man. That was big time, man. Another round of applause.